Hey everybody, so we have really tough injury news to report out of St. Louis today, as top-line winger Vladimir Tarasenko is going to miss at least 5 months for the St. Louis Blues with a shoulder injury, and it may be longer. He won't even be reevaluated until 5 months down the road, so it could be even longer than that. And this is tough news for the St. Louis Blues because he is a very important top 6 player for them. Before we get into the video fully, I just want to remind everyone to please hit that like button and give this video a thumbs up. That greatly helps out the channel. And if you're new to the channel or not yet subscribed for any reason, please hit that subscribe button and follow along for all my hockey content this season. So, Vladimir Tarasenko, I think, is the best pure goal scorer on the St. Louis Blues. 27 years old, right in the prime of his career. He's been a consistent 30-goal man since coming into the league for St. Louis. Did hit 40 goals one time in 2015-2016, but hasn't since, but has been in the 30s every year since, and was off to a pretty good start this year for the Blues in 10 games, having 3 goals and 7 assists for 10 points. So he was off to a point-per-game start this season until the injury happened, and not good news at all for St. Louis to lose a top winger like that. Probably who I think certainly is their best pure goal scorer and a very important player for them. This isn't necessarily an injury that I think St. Louis won't be able to overcome or won't be able to win without Tarasenko, but it's certainly a tough blow to their lineup because St. Louis, yes, they still have Braden Shen, they still have Jaden Schwartz, they still have Ryan O'Reilly, they still have David Perron, but you know, they're not a team that is just like loaded with high-end goal scorers. It's not like they can take a guy from the third line, throw him on the first line, and he's going to score 25. That's just St. Louis. They're much more of a well-rounded team. They're not necessarily that offensive juggernaut team like we see in, say, Tampa Bay or somewhere like that. Tarasenko is a really important player for them. He scores a good chunk of their goals. And they have other guys who can score, obviously, but this is going to put a lot of pressure on Jaden Schwartz to kind of take that next step and become more than just a 20-goal guy, but maybe push 30 or even 35. This is going to put pressure on David Perron to not necessarily just be, hey, I'm happy scoring, 20 to 25 this year. Now you need Perron to push 30. This is definitely going to put pressure on other guys on this team because 5 months is a long time. If you look at now, it's the end of, right about the end of October. October ends this week. You're looking at he's out for November, December, January, February, and March at least. So that's basically the rest of the regular season. The regular season only goes till the very beginning of April. And then it's playoff time. And so that's at best, he might get a couple 4 games or so at the end of the regular season, and then it would be right back into playoff hockey, and that is if he's only out 5 months. This is at least 5 months. He'll be reevaluated after the end of 5 months, so he could be out even longer than that. There's obviously a chance here that there's a good chance, I think, that he's done for the rest of the regular season. He may even have to miss the entire playoffs as well and just be shut down for the season and try and come back stronger and ready to go next year. This is a long-term injury for St. Louis. This isn't like he's just out a couple of weeks and, you can throw Zach Sanford or Sammy Blais up there and hope you get a couple goals out of them and then Tarasenko's coming back. Like this, they need a long-term fix at this position now. Somebody who's going to be able to score goals at a pretty regular pace because, this now is 30-plus goals, probably closer to 35 to 40 out of your lineup now for basically the rest of the regular season. So it's going to be difficult for St. Louis to replace Tarasenko. I think it's tough with the salary cap and how close these teams are to the cap. But you got to think that maybe St. Louis is on the trade market now for a scoring winger. Obviously, you're probably not going to trade for a first-line winger. That would be a monster blockbuster deal. But maybe they try and add like a somebody who can give you, around a 20-goal guy, something like that. Honestly, someone who comes to mind is Chris Kreider from the New York Rangers. I feel like that's the kind of player that St. Louis could possibly target in a trade, who's not really a first-line guy, but is capable of scoring 20 goals in a season and could kind of come in and just take some of the goal-scoring load off of these other guys now. And Kreider's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year, possibly somebody the Rangers would be open to moving. So that's just off the top of my head, someone who comes to mind. But I feel like St. Louis could be in the trade market for a scorer now. This obviously, like I said, puts a lot more pressure on Jaden Schwartz and David Perron to produce and to score goals. And it's tough. It's going to be tough to replace. You're never going to replace Vladimir Tarasenko. You can just try and as a team come together and produce a little bit more. And if you get 2 or 3 extra goals out of 3 or 4 guys, you can kind of make up some of those lost goals a little bit. Obviously, this sucks for Tarasenko. He's a great player. He's a guy I love to watch. He's a great sniper. And a player that I really like a lot. So it sucks to see him out for this long. And it obviously sucks for St. Louis to lose a top-line scorer. And we'll see how the Blues handle this, if they'll be able to win games without him. They obviously still have a talented team, a very good roster, a Stanley Cup winning roster that's largely intact from last season. But this hurts their power play. This hurts them 5-on-5. This hurts their offense immensely as a whole. And it's going to be tough, and it's a very long-term injury as well. So this just sucks to see for sure overall. But we'll see if they make a move. I think they could be now in the trade market for a scoring winger. And we'll have to wait and see how they handle this and see what happens. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.